Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Read Me Live. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and all of the shows that I've been doing with the live readings have been incredible, but this show I know is going to be spectacular. I'm able to do this live reading with a dear friend of mine, Shannon Leischner. How are you, Shannon?
I am well. How are you doing? Thank you for having me on your show.
You are so welcome. I'm so excited to have you because when we talked earlier, you agreed to be on the show. You were in the middle of something. We didn't have too much time, but I just wanted to tell you where I am and what I have going on, especially since you are a psychic medium and healer. I think you'll relate to my journey. I'm a third generation reader. I've been reading for years. My mom taught me how to read. And 20 years ago, my mom was like, Sharifa, you can do this. You can be a reader. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not about to teach people or even go out there with the cards because people are going to be, people laugh. I wasn't trying to get stoned. So I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Right. Fast forward 20 years. This is all I want to do is read for people. So just to be able to take the time to speak to someone who proudly, incredibly goes out there and tells people that I'm a psychic medium and I'm a healer. And this is what I really been called to do. Not only are my psychic abilities, my intuitive abilities increasing, but I'm being moved to go more into mediumship. So I'm taking a mediumship course. My dear friend, I don't know, I think you know her, Frances Pullen. Frances
Yes.
is offering a mediumship class. I'm taking her class Mondays at 7 p.m. But it's just incredible to be able to speak to someone who this is who they are and what they do. The other aspect of why I wanted to do readings live is because I want to learn. I want other people to learn. And so often we go into our own little private sessions and we just give one person the message and then nobody else gets to learn, the cards, learn the process. So it's an honor, truly an honor to be able to have someone of your caliber on the show. And so we can really have these discussions. I didn't know what I was going to be able to say. I always allow people to talk, tell about themselves, but I just have to ask this. I'm so excited. That's why I'm rambling all over the place. But how do you get the confidence to go out and to tell people I'm a psychic medium?
When you walk your path, you cannot worry about what other people think of you. And I truly learned that. I mean, when I first came out of the psychic closet, I had a lot of hate. A lot of people telling me that I was crazy, looking for attention. I mean, all of it, right? And I truly had to embrace who I was. And if they didn't accept that, then that was on their own, their own thing. Because for me, it was very important for me to just embrace me, to embrace who I was and embrace what I needed in my life. And no one else was going to live my life for me, and no one else was going to live my path for me. So I decided, you know what, I'm open about who I am. And if people don't like it, then they can go somewhere else.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. I think that's incredible, and I believe that's where I'm at and where I'm getting to. I've always told people when I was 29, I started feeling 30. When I was 39, I started feeling 40, and now at 49, I'm feeling 50, and it comes to me with a different level of confidence. I think as a younger person, I was more concerned about what people thought. Even I can even tell the difference in my readings. I think younger me would have questioned more about the information, you know, what I said. Now even I've had people read, or read for people, and they're like, "No, that's not it," and I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, that's the message." There's a certain confidence I think that comes with experience and that comes with age. Have you found that to be true?
Oh, 100%. So I want my worst reading ever turned
Okay.
out to be my best reading ever.
Okay.
But my worst reading ever is I had a lady come and sit in front of me. And I told her, I said, I see you going back to school. I don't
Mhm.
know if you're going to be working in a school or going back to school. And she screamed at me in front of everybody, "You're a fake, you're a fraud," and, all of these things. And she got up and she stormed out.
Oh wow.
And I was so embarrassed at that moment. And I really started to question myself, like, oh my God, like, what did I say?
Mhm.
But she actually called me back, probably, I don't know, like a year later.
Mhm.
And she was like, I owe you an apology. 2 months after you said that I was going back to school, I got an administrator position at a school. You were right. I was wrong. And I'm so sorry. And, she turned out to be one of my regular clients after that. So the thing is that I heard this from John Edwards, and I want people who are starting to hear this too and to own it. John Edwards said, don't read the mail, just deliver it.
I love it.
I tell people this all the time. If it doesn't pertain to you right now, hold on to it. It might later on. And if it doesn't resonate, let it go. But this is the message I'm getting. This is what I'm hearing. Here it is. I'm delivering the mail. I'm not reading it. I'm not trying to interpret it. You can take it the way you want it. And that's it. Because the more we try to interpret, the more we internalize ourselves and take it personally if something doesn't turn out right.
I think that's also not just the message that you said, but just the name. Because I was telling people that when I felt more called to do this and to go in this direction, I wanted to learn more, but I don't resonate with anyone. And I was playing on Instagram, and all these different reels came up in different people. Everybody says they're the guru or expert or something. And for some reason, John Edward just started coming up on Instagram, and I saw some of the things that he was doing. And so I said, you know what? I want to look more into him. I've heard about him for years, but I wasn't really focused on him. And so I went to YouTube and I watched 2 interviews that John Edward did on Howie Mandel's show. And one of the things that were in the link was that John Edward offers a course on how to improve your psychic abilities. And so I went to Hay House. I took John Edward's course for 4.5 hours, and just is a 4.5 hour course. And some of the things that he said, I was blown away and so grateful. So even just the fact that you mentioned, his name on the show is a confirmation for me, because he was someone that I really resonate with.
100%. And I resonate with him as well. I resonated also with Sylvia Brown.
Yes.
Until things went south for her. But
yes.
Stuff happens.
Yes, it does. But I love her energy, and I love the fact that you learn a lot from different people. So let's go back to the beginning. How did you know that you had psychic or mediumship abilities?
So I was born with them. I actually came out of the womb knowing. And as a child, I grew up in a household full of psychics. So there would be seances and table risings and fork bendings and all these kind of things that it felt normal to me. It would be a once a week type of thing. And so I didn't see any difference in it until after everything went south, because there was a lot of non-protection and all these types of things happening. So everything went south. And I was forbidden from using any more metaphysical or even being in the metaphysical, and told that spirits were bad. And then I had to go through my life being terrified of spirits, because I lived in a house literally that was like Amityville Horror, and just about everything that happened in Amityville Horror happened in our house. So it was quite terrifying. But then there came a point in time where I just always felt that this was my calling. I always felt that this is something that I needed to do, even though I was forbidden by my mother to do that. And one day I went to her and I said, I'm sorry, but this is what I'm going to do. I need to do it. And she tells me, it's about time you stand up for yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And she's been one of my biggest fans, and she actually has taken all of my classes and been really active in my career.
Okay, that's beautiful. I didn't even know. I knew that you were a psychic medium, but I didn't even know that you taught. So then I'll have to go to, what's your website? Is that where your classes are? I got to check out some of your classes.
Oh, yes. My classes are not listed there. They're going to be. We're revamping my website at the moment. But I do have lots of classes and lots of things that I offer. Actually, I will make up something and put it on. I will post it on my Facebook.
Okay. Well, we want you to make up something, because right now, like I said, I'm taking Frances Pullen's mediumship class, and she wasn't offering that class before we did her reading online. Just like you're sitting there, she was sitting there. And I'm enjoying this process because this is what I moved to do. This is, like you said about yourself, I feel like this is what I'm called to do. I finally feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And when Frances Pullen was on my show, she was telling us that she started her path when her son was killed. And when he was killed, that opened up so much for her from the psychic ability. She was able to talk to him and talk to other people. She's a channel. I mean, I love her. FrancesPullen.com if you want to check out some of her work and her classes. But I asked her, I said, okay, well, if all our deceased loved ones are around us, are any around me? And she was like, yes, I feel like your grandmother is around you. Your grandmother is saying that politics wasn't for you, that now you're doing, that the energy of politics wasn't good for you. And then now you are doing what you are called to do. And that your grandmother said, and it was right in front of your face the whole time. It was right in front of your face. And I thought that was so beautiful. And so certain messages, just start coming through all of a sudden. I'm reading for Frances, and all of a sudden I clearly hear mix it up. And so I tell Frances, I said, are you about to do something new? And Frances was like, no. I said, you're not doing anything new. I said, because I'm hearing mix it up. And so after this reading, I get an email on the reading during the live. Frances said, I'm going to do a mediumship class. Since you're called to do medium, I'll create this class. So then I get an email from Frances that goes out in her newsletter to everyone, where she says, after 18 years, Spirit is calling her to stop offering automatic writing classes and instead offer mediumship classes. And I said, I guess that was the confirmation. Their Spirit is saying, mix it up. Sometimes you have to mix it up and teach, it a different way. So she'd been called for 18 years to teach automatic writing. Now she has to mix it up and teach mediumship. So I just thought that was incredible. And it was an incredible confirmation. But what stood out to me, and I had this conversation, the show that I did this morning at 10:30 with Trayvon Towner was incredible. And we had a chat afterwards, and I was kind of encouraging him in what he's doing. He's an intuitive masseuse. So he does massages based on his intuition, on what he feels, the areas of someone's body that they need extra healing or extra energy. And I told him, I said, that's wonderful. I said, because sometimes you'll give a message and the person will say no. That's why I want to go back to what you said about the lady was like, no, you're crazy. You're a fraud. There's no way I'm going back to school. And it's not always that that the person is trying to be mean. It's just that at that point in time, it doesn't resonate with them. One thing that changed with me is when I did readings 20 years ago, the first thing that I did was pull out the cards. Now I'm like, I'll get to the cards. I'll get to that. But let me connect to you. Let me connect to your energy. So, there is some type of connection there. Because what happens is when people go to get a reading or maybe read with someone, especially for the first time, they're nervous. And because they are nervous, their walls are up. And so they're looking for something to be able to like, she's real, she's not real. And they may just automatically reject the message that they're receiving just because, again, at that point in time, it doesn't resonate with them. So I was telling Trayvon the same thing, like, go trust what you feel, trust what you receive. I said, because I can tell you a story after story of people who I've done readings for, kind of like the lady that you read for. One lady in particular, I did a reading and I said, I see that you're an entrepreneur. And she's like, no. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I feeling, and the cards, everything is confirming that you're an entrepreneur. And I'm just trying to tell you how to maneuver. And she was like, I'm not. And I said, you're not an entrepreneur? She says, no, I'm a business owner.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, aren't you someone who works for yourself? Like, I see
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wow.
Yes. So sometimes the people reject it because they don't understand the message, or like yourself, it wasn't time for that message. And everything happens in divine perfect order, just like it may not have been time for me to do my readings before, and now it's time. So for you, it was time when you stood up to your mom and you said, this is what I'm called to do. But I was kind of curious because you said you grew up in a house with seances and readings and everything else. So, your mom was the one who didn't want you to do readings?
Yeah, so it was up until I was about 9.
Okay.
And then everything went south. The house turned into Amityville Horror, and everything went south. It was just horrific. And we had to leave that house. And then after that, it was forbidden. It was off limits for everybody. And it was my mom. She just said, spirits are bad and stay away from them. And, what you're seeing is not good and you need to stay away. And so we just kind of, I stayed away from that for a long time. Yeah.
And now you've accepted it.
I wanted to say, though, funny that you were mentioning Mix It Up, because I do have 2 courses actually that are coming. And one of them is coming in November, and I'm doing a couples hypnosis course with my hypnosis teacher. And then I'm also going to be, after that, going to be teaching hypnosis certification with him as well. He wants to pass down his legacy, and he's asking me to take over for him. So we're going to be teaching those courses, and that's going to be in November, the first part of November, I believe the 9th, but I have to look that up. And then also I'm going to be teaching a financial freedom course that has to do with taking a look at our old lineage, our old, like all of our old packed stuff that we have in our cells, in our bodies, and our ancestral and all those things, and taking a look at that and getting rid of it so that we can actually create the lives that we've always wanted to create. So those are the 2 that are actually coming up. And I teach private courses for mediumship, for healing, for everything else. I teach it privately for people as well. And then I guess I'll start, like you said, I'll start teaching an actual group class as well.
Well, I might have to take that financial class to break all the chains that have been holding my legacy back. But then I also might have to find out more information about your mediumship classes, because, like I said, this is an honor. This is an extreme honor just to be able to have you here, because one of the things that I wanted to do is, I feel in this industry, there is some type of veil of secrecy. There are some people who want to deliberately make you feel that they're special, that they're the only one who gets messages, and you have to come through them to get to the message that you want to receive. And I believe, and one of the things that John Edward was talking about, is that we're all psychic. We all have an intuition. We all have a sixth sense. We all have that inner knowing, but some people, just like anything else, some people do it naturally better than others. And then some people have trained for years to do it. Just like people naturally are born being able to sing incredibly. Even Whitney Houston, she was the daughter of Cissy Houston. Her mother was a singer. Her mother was able to train her in the church. She had cousins and relatives, but this is what they did. So this is what they trained on. Athletes, some athletes are just naturally gifted, but then you have your Kobe Bryants and your Michael Jordans who will tell you they spend a lot of time in the gym. They spend a lot of time practicing. And so that's why I'm taking different courses. I'm studying, listening to the megahertz, because I want to really train so that I can really provide clear messages to people.
100%. Yeah. And it's like going to the gym, right? You have to keep working that muscle.
Yes. And I can relate, because I joined the gym in June and I've been going ever since. And now I find that if I don't go to the gym, I feel like, I'm in this fog, so I can go to the gym. I put on my YouTube videos. I listen to them. I get in the zone, and all of a sudden I feel connected. I feel grounded. I feel like, but right now, overall, I can tell you, I feel just like I am finally, for once in my life, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm just talking and I'm just rambling, and I'm like just enjoying the opportunity. But you're teaching the classes. What else do you do? Like, what are like, people can come to you for readings?
Oh, yes. So I'm known as a spiritual catalyst. So what that means is I catalyze change for people. Okay. And so I have a pretty large toolbox. Besides being psychic medium, I can heal.
Okay.
I go inside the brain and can create new neural pathways.
Okay.
And let's say if someone's had trauma, depression, anxiety, all of those things, I go into the brain, into a section called the amygdala, where all of the trauma is stored, and it's our fight or flight. So it's our protection mechanism. And I can go in and move it out of that part of the brain so that it's no longer a trigger. And then I can also go into the body and look and see where the energy is coming from and what's the origin, so that we can heal ailments that people have, and also looking at ancestral DNA and cellular memory. And then of course past lives and all that good stuff, angelic communication.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is incredible. I doing this so I can learn, so I can teach. I want to say welcome to Marin. I'm not sure. I'm horrible with names. I always butcher names, but Marin is sending us a heart and sending us love. So I want to send that love right back to you. Thank you for tuning in. This is so incredible. I love what we're doing, but I want to talk. What does it take to be a catalyst for someone like me? I need a catalyst to send me more into what I'm supposed to be doing. So do I have to book a session, come lay down? What do I have to do?
So I actually, I do all my sessions over the phone.
Okay.
I prefer to actually let the person be as comfortable as they can, so they can lay in their bed, they can be in their PJs, they can be naked for all I care. I really don't care. Because when you're on the phone, there is a direct connection to the brain. So there's a direct connection to the energy. And we all felt this direct connection when you're on the phone, and it feels like that person is just right next to you when you're talking to them. And so for me, you just book a session and we take it from there. We figure out exactly what needs to be done. I don't do any research previously or prior to the session, because I want to come in clean. I want to come in with no expectations, not even knowing what I'm going to work on. I just want to come right into it. So that's what we do. We book sessions and we talk over the phone.
And they can book the session at shannonleischner.com.
Yes, shannonleischner.com. And you can even text me if you would like a session and you want to do it quickly. You can text me at 310-503-9380.
Okay, give the number again, Shannon, for anyone who's just trying to catch it.
310-503-9380.
I love it. And I'm just talking because I probably would have gotten into the reading by now. I'm just shuffling. For me, shuffling allows me to connect to the energy. It also allows me to clear the energy from a previous session. And just, that's my sign to spirit that I'm about to do a reading. So a couple of things that I'm going to do, which I'm going to do differently. But before we get into the reading, I want to talk about today, right? Today is a very special day for you. And can you talk a little bit about that for me, Shannon?
So I was in the Las Vegas Massacre. I'm a survivor of the Las Vegas Massacre. And today marks 8 years of the actual event. Wow. So I will be going to the memorial and spending time with my country family and remembering those who didn't make it.
Wow. We're sending light and love and healing. But if I remember correctly, and when you get to be my age, your memory doesn't always serve you. But didn't you have some type of, I want to say, vision or premonition or something that you were going to be affected?
Yes. So I actually, 2 months before it, I saw, I was laying in bed with my husband at the time. And I started to feel anxious. And then I all of a sudden felt this searing pain in my stomach. And I felt blood just rolling down my body. And I told my husband at the time, I said, I've been shot. And he was like, you haven't been shot. You're laying here. And I said, no, I've been shot. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, you haven't. And then all of a sudden I was transported to this parking lot. And I was leaning up against this metal object. And there was a dark-haired lady holding the wound saying, stay with me, stay with me. And so my husband is still chiming in and he's saying, well, if you're a healer, heal yourself. And I'm thinking that I tapped into a dimensional me that actually needed help at that time. So I said, yeah, you're right. I'm a healer. So I went in energetically. I pulled the bullet out and I closed the wound completely, with the exception of an indentation and a burn mark around it. And so when it happened, when all the things transpired exactly the way I had seen it, it was like, not like, it was past, present, and future all coming at the same time. It was like all the timelines merged at the same time, and it was something else.
Wow. So I just want to run it back for anybody who missed it, who's watching. Murren's excited. She's sending all kind of love. So 2 months prior to this occurrence, you saw yourself getting shot. And then 2 months later, you get shot.
In the same spot.
In the same spot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And while you were there, you got shot in Vegas, Route 99, one of the largest massacres in U.S. history. But you were able to help other people in the process of being shot.
Yes. So miraculously, and I do feel like this is how come past, present, and future came together. But the bullet went in and came out the same way it went in. Mm-hmm. And it closed, with the exception of the indentation and the burn mark around. Mm-hmm. And the thing is at that moment I was shoved up against this metal object, and here's that dark-haired woman holding mm-hmm. the wound, saying, stay with me. And she's looking for the exit wound, and she's taking my pants off and trying to figure out where this exit wound was. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the bullet is right here. And I went to pick it up, but it was way too hot at the moment. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I saw you get hit. I saw it go in, mm-hmm. and I saw the light. She's like, I don't understand. And so mm-hmm. at that moment, chaos is happening. And when she realized that I was okay, she took off with her husband. Mm. Yeah.
That is miraculous. That is something that, because people always, there are things some people have doubts. Let me say that. Oh, yeah. But there are things that there's no way you can explain it. There's no other earthly explanation. And you are one of those people that I always think about when that occurs. Yeah. Because there's no other way to explain it.
So many experts tried to explain it too. Some talked about shrapnel. Some talked about, it just grazed you. But all of those explanations would have ripped my stomach in some way.
Right.
And so no one can explain exactly how this happened. And the only thing that I can say is I saw it 2 months ahead of time. I helped pull the bullet out. It was 2 months before that. I know that it was a pure miracle. And I was saved by the angels.
You are a miracle. You are a miracle. I'm just honored. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I can do this reading.
You got this. Let's do it.
I'm gonna do it. And I didn't even ask you.
I know you can.
I didn't ask you prior, but we're gonna do this reading. But if I do this reading, you're gonna give me some feedback. You gonna tell me what you feel. You're gonna tell me, because I'm growing in this field. I'm like a baby medium. I'm a baby psychic. I haven't even gotten to mediumship. In the 6-week course, I've only taken week 1.
Sharifah, I've never known you not to own your greatness. So you're not a baby anything.
I love it.
I've never known you not to own your greatness.
Thank you.
Please don't minimize who you are.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, because this is what I'm doing. This is what I love. This is what I enjoy. But when I get that feedback from Shannon, because I'm watching John Edwards, I watch all these people, and they always say, I started with the cards. And I'm like, well, I'm starting with the cards. I'm going out there. I'm stepping out in faith. So I'm going to do my reading like I do for everybody else. And I always tell people, the cards don't tell me. The cards confirm what I see, hear, feel, and know. Something may come through, something may not, but we just going to go ahead and start. And we just ask God and the Holy Spirit to bless this reading and to give Shannon any message that she might need to know. And I always show the cards, because for me, the cards are a visual indication of what I see, know, hear, and feel. And just because that's my sign or my message for something, that card may mean something completely different to you. So I want to show it to you in that way. If you're you feel moved or called to Google it or research it, I always recommend that people write the card down. That way they can look into it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to concentrate on Shannon, and then I'll just get the information as it comes to me. So the first card that I feel that you have is the Two of Pentacles. So your main issue, your main theme that I see in the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles for me is the I robbed Peter to pay Paul card. That's what I always get when I see the Two of Pentacles. To me, it's about juggling resources. It's about taking one thing from here in order to take care of that. But for someone who has the ability to juggle resources, it's definitely a good omen. Being a minor arcana card, a 2, it's not one of those major changes or major lessons. So that's a good thing. You know how to play with resources and do whatever you need to do to get the money, because your challenge for me is the Two of Swords. We got 2 2s popping up, and I was watching while we were talking. I actually saw the 222 show up. So definitely angel messages coming through. So the Two of Swords for me, especially as the challenge for with the Two of Pentacles, is about minor decisions, minor choices, minor, so this is about deciding and choosing where to put your resources, where to put your energy, because the next card that I have for you is the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords for me is my conflict card. Swords for me are about new ideas. It's about information. It's about challenges on a scale of 0 to 10. 5 is always the halfway point. So whatever journey you're at, whatever you're going through, this is the part where you just have to give it that old heave ho and keep going. You can't stop, right? But this is also a minor arcana card. Arcana for me is changes, major arcana, minor changes, minor arcana. And so far, you had minor arcana cards, which is wonderful, because for me, that's my sign that what you're going through is not major life lessons. So even if you do have petty arguments and petty disagreements, these are not major life lessons that will change the course of history. Things are your marriages, your divorces, your births, and your deaths. Major life will never be the same, right? So the next card that I have for you is the Queen of Wands. These cards are so glowy. And the Queen of Wands is the Aries card. I'm an Aries, right? And that's the Queen of Wands. Is the energy of a fiery lady. She's the queen. She knows how to use her power. She knows how to wield her power. And she is not a newbie. She's not a beginner. She's not someone who's just trying to figure it out. She's all dressed in red, and red is the passion. It is the passion that I see in you. She has her staff. She has the animals around her, which always tells me that everything in nature will bend to her will. I think that's beautiful, especially with you, Shannon. The next card that you have is the Ace of Cups. I love the Ace of Cups, especially for you, because the aces for me are always about new beginnings. Ace is also a 0, and 0 is infinite possibilities. You have the infinite possibilities to go wherever you want to go. The fish are swimming in the pond. The Ace of Cups for me is about self-love, truly loving yourself, truly loving who you are, because you can't love anyone else until you can truly love yourself. So to me, this is the water's pouring, the new life is coming in, new hope, anything in the past being washed away. Because the next card I have for you is the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is a beautiful card. This is my fulfillment card. It's that card to say, based on all the decisions, all the choices that we had in the past, that now you've reached a level of contentment and happiness in your life. 10 is completion, but 10 also breaks down to in numerology to the 1, right? So every cycle that we end is also about new beginnings coming into our life. Marin says, don't worry. Celine from League TV says, salam, all great energy here as always. So we are here to read your reading. So I do see fulfillment, that there's a certain contentment in your life. So yeah, you may have juggled a couple of resources, juggled a little bit, but now you're where you're supposed to be, because you get some beautiful 10 of Pentacles is your next card that comes up. 10 of Pentacles again. This is the end of this cycle, the end of this journey. But every time we end a journey, We always start at the beginning. The 10 of Pentacles for me is called the generational wealth card or legacy card, because in the 9 of Pentacles, she already has enough. She has more than enough, but she has more than enough for her. She has enough resources, enough pentacles for her, for herself. But in the 10, she has more than enough. So the 10 for me is always about more than enough. It's also about generational wealth. It's about enough to give, enough to share, enough to for other people. It doesn't show it in this deck, but many decks show the 10 of Pentacles as the man, the woman, 2 children, and the dog. So it's about more than just you. So yeah, sometimes we have enough for us, but do you have enough to share? So the next card I have for you is the 3 of Swords. The 3 of Swords I love as well. That came up when I was doing a reading for my friend Alice. Shout out to Alice. Before we started her reading, I was telling her that, you know, in my mind, I'm a Pollyanna. I don't see anything as inherently bad. You know, I also don't read reversals. To me, something may have more of a challenge. If I feel it's a challenge, then I will tell people, and people who can watch my readings on live, they say the same thing, that and they see me say the same thing. But when I did Alice reading, she said the 3 of Swords, you know, that's a bad card. There are no bad cards, right? Because what the 3 of Swords talks to me about is sorrow. And anybody who has gotten shot and gone through this experience, there is some pain. That pain is real. There is real sorrow. Anybody who's gotten to an age, you know, over, you know, a kid, they have gone through some sorrow. They have gone through some pain. They have gone through some loss. You talk about your husband. That was your husband at the time. That's the caveat that you put in. He's not there anymore. But so there was a pain. There was some sorrow. But the beauty of closure is that it's final. It's over. You know, that everything's out in the open. You don't have to stay there anymore. So the 3 of Swords is always, to me, is about the closing of the chapter, and in knowing that that part of your life is over, because the next card that you have is the 4 of Swords. 4 of Swords, ideas. We're getting some ideas with the 3 of Swords. We're getting some ideas with the 4 of Swords. And my 4 of Swords card is always the healing card. That's the healer card, which is apropos for Shannon, is that sometimes you just need to heal. And it's so funny that even in this reading, and that's why I do readings, because I noticed what I noticed is that the 4 of Swords follows the 3 of Swords. And so that's what I always tell people: when you get a reading, it's not always about just the card. It's not about that card. It's not about that one card. You have to be cognizant and aware of, okay, well, what is the card that precedes it? What is the card that's after it? What are the cards that are around it? So just the fact that you had some sorrow, the 4 of Swords to me is about resting. So often when we go through any experience that really drains us and affects us emotionally, you know, especially as a society, I used to think as a kid that only vets, like this was my belief, that only Vietnam vets go through PTSD. Like they're the only ones, because everybody would associate PTSD with war, PTSD. But I know that everyone, especially after a global pandemic, it has some form of PTSD, some form of what we're going through. And as a society, we don't allow people to grieve. You can lose your parent and they're like, be back at work in 3 days. You got 3 days, grieve it, get over it. Like that's the American motto, get over it, right? So whenever I see the 4 of Swords, that's telling me that you may not have enough energy because of the sorrow or the loss that you have, and that's okay. But take time to rest, take time to heal, take time to grieve. This to me is also about maybe you don't have enough information, right? So instead of just moving around willy-nilly, take some time to really rest and heal and think about what you want your next move to be. I always think of the 4 of Swords of an expression that Oprah Winfrey said. I read that she said where it was, when most people don't know what to do, they feel that they have to do something. She said, when I don't know what to do, I don't do anything until I know what to do. And with the 4 of Swords, I started using this expression, even though I've never shot a gun in my life, never went to a range or anything. But it always, the message that comes through to me is don't move until you have a clear shot. I always hear a clear shot. Like, don't just randomly do things When you know that it's time to make that move, then move out there, take a leap of faith and move out there on faith. Because the last card that you're reading, you know, and I do the reading, I start with the first card, each one has positions, but at the end of the day, what are you saying, Sharifah? What is the final outcome? And for me, anytime a reading ends with a major arcana card, that tells me that this person is still going through, still learning a major life lesson, as opposed to ending with a minor arcana card. So the major arcana card for death, I'm seeing it, and it came up earlier in the reading. It's so beautiful. I was doing a reading yesterday, and a lady was just like, "Oh my God!" I was so, after the reading, and I gave out the card. She was like, "I'm so afraid. I was so afraid that the death card was going to appear. Do you have a death card in your deck?" And I said, "Yeah, every deck has a death card, right? But for me, the death card is my butterfly card. It's a card of transformation. Mm-hmm. And we can never become the butterfly without becoming the caterpillar. You have to first become the caterpillar in order to become the butterfly. So to me, the death card is a beautiful, beautiful omen, especially as the final outcome, especially for you, Shannon, is because you, I believe, and I know that you went through all the sorrow, all the hurt, all the loss, all the pain, so you can come out on the other end and you can teach other people and you can help other people and you can guide other people to their calling. You can become a catalyst and help them do whatever they want to do. So when I look at the cards, especially seeing the Two of Pentacles, this may mean that you may not have all of the resources financially, you may or may not, but you know how to maneuver, you know how to move things around in order to move forward, because you are here called to do so many great things and be able to help other people. So whatever pain, whatever loss you have, heal, rest, and move forward, because you're going to create so much wealth for yourself and for others. That's my reading, Shannon.
Thank you. That was so cool.
Thank you. I have to ask my question? Did that resonate with you?
Yeah, actually, there was a lot there. So I'm really good at juggling whatever I need, but also I'm really good at creating whatever I need. So if I require something of the universe, I let the universe know that I require it, and then it comes. So I definitely, that definitely resonated. You mentioned about the Ace of Cups. And for me, the Ace of Cups, because an ace can be, it can be a 1, a 0, or it can be an 11, right? So if you play cards, you know, you can have 0 points, you can have 1 point, you can have 11 points, right? Depending on how the card is played. And so for me, an Ace of Cups is like, you're very versatile. You can be at the beginning or you can be at the end, but you can also be, it's like an overflowing, because regardless, it is that one number. It is that creation number. So the number of your cup is overflowing while you're creating is awesome for me. So the Ace of Cups really kind of resonated with me. And then you mentioned the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands. And you said it was an Aries card, which is so funny because I'm a Pisces, but I'm also an Aries. I'm very much both. Okay. And I noticed
Are you on the cusp?
Huh?
Are you on the cusp?
I'm on the cusp. Yeah. So I'm the 19th. So I'm right in there. But the energy, I have all these Aries risings, right? Or all these Aries in my signs. But I've really noticed that I've actually embraced more of my Aries side lately than I have my Pisces side. My Pisces side's always there because it's easygoing and it's you know, it's that magical side, right? And then the Aries side is like, we gotta go, let's do it, let's do the adventurous part, right? Yes. And so I'm very fiery. I've been very fiery lately too, because I'm now forming boundaries, which is challenging for a Pisces to do. Okay. And for somebody who is tapped in, you know, it's challenging to have boundaries for people because you want to help them so much. You want to be there so much. You want to give all of your energy because you feel like you need to be in service. Right. But it's not about service. It's about support.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. And so for me, it's been challenging to have those boundaries because I just want to be there for people. And I want, I've owned that my path is to actually help and to heal and to do all these things. So now my fiery side is coming out and saying, no. Please do not mistake my kindness for weakness. Mm-hmm. I am not a weak person at all. And I could not be weak doing what I do.
Right.
Because it is definitely not a weak point. And so I've had to use the fieriness, but it doesn't take away from my light,
Right.
And to be in the light, sometimes you've got to be fiery, you've
yes.
got to show who you are. So I love that about what you said. And then you talked about the 10 of Pentacles, the end of the journey and the legacy. And it really is like, I've seen 1010 for every single day for the past 12 years.
Wow.
So I've seen 1010 everywhere. And yes, it's definitely, there's been a lot of completions, but there's also been a lot of coming back to me, right? I lose myself in relationships or I lose myself in something, and then I've got to come back to me, right? But it really isn't coming back. It's kind of like leveling up to the next level. And so I loved your reading. You're really good at it.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to give me some tips on how to improve?
Oh, I always will. We're going to have lunch tomorrow, so we'll talk about all of that.
We'll talk about all of that in our lunch tomorrow. This has been an incredible conversation. Now, Shannon, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who's watching in the archives, and just give them a final few parting words that you want them to take away from your show today.
So there is a lot of crazy energy going on right now. There's a lot of division that's been, seeds have been planted for a long time. And I say, stay away from that dark brain candy. Stay away from that energy of, all this bad stuff is happening. Focus on what you want to create. Focus on who you are and stay steadfast in that energy. Do not allow anybody else or anything else or any dark brain candy to keep you from who you are. Follow your path. Keep moving forward. Don't look back. Just keep moving forward and everything will be okay. We're just going through a major shift right now, but everything will be okay. And if you need to contact me or would like to contact me, you can find me on Instagram at Angelic Guide. Again, Angelic Guide. You can find me on Facebook, Shannon Leischner. And if you would like a reading, you can text me 310-503-9380, or you can go to my website, shannonleischner.com.
I love it. I love it. That is so, so profound, so beautiful. It always reminds me of my mom. My mom's a practitioner at Agape in I don't know where they are now, but Agape International Center. So she does the grief counseling. She does all of this. And her thing is whenever I say anything, I'm like, it's going to be okay. My mom was like, it is okay. Right here, right now, this now, all is well. And so I just would like to thank you, Shannon, for being a guest on today's episode of Read Me Live. I want to thank Marin for filling up our comments and sending her love and just kind of live commenting during the course of this show. I want to thank Salim for turning in. Salam to him, League TV, everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's watching it. If you have somehow stumbled on this video on social media, Facebook or YouTube, know that you were divinely guided and this was the message that you were meant to receive. Now, if you want your own reading or even a private reading, you can visit my website at readmelive.com. Until next time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day.